The night before his stroke, David sat at the dinner table, laughing. He complained of a slight headache. Probably just tired, he said. His wife noticed his words slurring once, just briefly, then it passed. She thought nothing of it. By 3 a.m., David couldn't move his left side. By morning, he was in the ICU. His wife later told doctors through tears he had every single warning sign. We just didn't know what we were looking at. That story is not rare. It is happening right now in homes across this country. And the most devastating part? A stroke almost always whispers before it screams. Today, you are going to learn exactly what that whisper sounds like, because knowing it could be the difference between a full recovery and a funeral. Margaret was 67 years old, sharp as a tack, and proud of it. She lived alone in a small house in Ohio and had never missed a doctor's appointment in her life. One Tuesday evening, she felt a strange tingling on the left side of her face. She figured she had slept on it, funny, huh? Then she reached for the word refrigerator at dinner, and it simply wasn't there. Gone. She laughed it off, told her daughter she was just tired, and went to bed early. At 3 a.m., her daughter found her on the bathroom floor, unable to speak. The doctors told the family something that haunted them forever. If Margaret had come in just 6 hours earlier, the damage would have been almost entirely preventable. She survived, but she never fully came back. That is the moment that changed Dr. Eric's life too. And that is exactly why you need to keep watching. My name is Dr. Eric, and I have spent 30 years in medicine watching people arrive too late. One patient, a retired teacher named Carol, made me promise before she left that hospital to spend the rest of my career making sure other families never went through what hers did. That promise is why I am here today. I am not here to frighten you. I am here because I genuinely care whether you are still here next year. By the end of this video, you will know more about stroke prevention than most Americans over 50 ever learn in a lifetime. Stay with me. And if this matters to you, hit subscribe right now, because I make a brand new health video for you every single day. Okay? Before the majority of strokes hit, the brain sends out real, measurable warning signals. The problem is they look so ordinary that millions of people wave them off and go to sleep. And some of them never wake up the same way again. What doctors call a TIA, a Transient Ischemic Attack, is your brain's final warning shot. Blood flow briefly gets interrupted, symptoms appear, and then cruelly disappear. You feel fine again. And that feeling of being fine is exactly what kills people. Studies show that nearly 43% of stroke victims had clear warning signs in the 24 hours before their stroke hit. That means almost half of all stroke victims had a real open window where intervention could have changed everything. After 50, that window matters even more because vessels stiffen, blood pressure climbs quietly, and the margin for error shrinks in ways that never show up in how you feel day to day. One of the 7 signs I am about to share with you is so completely ordinary that there is a strong chance you experienced it yourself just this morning and thought absolutely nothing of it. As I go through each sign, ask yourself honestly, has this ever happened to me? Has this happened to someone I love? Sign number 1 is the headache that feels different. Not your usual tension headache or caffeine withdrawal throb. This arrives with unusual force, in an unusual location, with a character you have genuinely never experienced before. Stroke survivors describe it as the worst headache of their life. If a headache ever makes you think, this doesn't feel like my normal headaches, that thought itself is a signal worth acting on. Sign number 2 is the strange eye moment that vanishes almost instantly. Vision in one eye suddenly darkens, blurs, or disappears briefly like a curtain being drawn across it. So, it passes so fast that most people blame tiredness or screen time. That brief visual disturbance is your brain telling you blood flow was just interrupted. It is not your glasses prescription. It is a warning. Sign number 3 is one side of your body feeling not quite yours. A sudden, unexplained numbness or weakness in your face, arm, or leg, almost always one side only. You might drop something for no reason. You might notice one corner of your mouth isn't cooperating. One-sided weakness is one of the most consistent pre-stroke signals the body produces and one of the most consistently dismissed. Okay. Sign number 4 is reaching for a word and finding it simply gone. Not the occasional tip of the tongue moment everyone has. This is mid-sentence, a completely familiar word vanishes entirely, or the wrong word comes out and you don't catch it. Language lives in specific brain regions, and when blood flow is compromised even briefly, speech is among the first things affected. Sign number 5 is dizziness that tilts the room while you are perfectly still, not lightheadedness from standing too fast. A sudden, unexplained sensation that the world is moving when it isn't, and sometimes with a loss of balance that arrives from nowhere. The cerebellum is particularly vulnerable during vascular disruption, and this specific dizziness gets dismissed as an inner ear problem far too often. Sign number 6 is a fatigue genuinely different from being tired. A sudden crushing exhaustion that sleep does not fix. You rest and wake up feeling worse. Stroke survivors consistently describe a profound, unfamiliar heaviness in the days before, a fatigue their body had never produced before. Sign number 7 is the gut feeling that something is wrong, the inexplicable sense that your body is off in a way you cannot name. Stroke survivors say it repeatedly in retrospect. I just knew something wasn't right. If your body is sending you a signal you cannot explain but cannot ignore, please do not talk yourself out of it. Drop a comment right now and tell me, have you ever experienced any of these signs and brushed them off? Your story might be exactly what saved someone else's life today. Okay, here is the cruelest part of everything I have just told you. Every single one of those 7 warning signs can feel exactly like something that simply comes with getting older. A headache, tired eyes, forgetting a word, feeling unsteady, bone-deep fatigue. Millions of people over 50 chalk these up to age every single day without a second thought. And that is not stupidity. That is what happens when an entire generation was never given the right information. High blood pressure is the silent partner hiding behind every one of these warnings. It produces no pain, announces itself with no fanfare, and quietly damages arterial walls year after year until one vessel finally gives way. 50 of those walls naturally stiffen, making the same pressure reading genuinely dangerous in ways it never was at 35. Women over 55 are significantly more likely to experience atypical symptoms, nausea, sudden confusion, unexplained exhaustion that look nothing like the classic stroke image. These get missed and dismissed more often, leading to worse outcomes on average. Men over 60 face a different danger, the stubborn willingness to wait and see. And while they are reasoning with themselves, 1.9 million brain cells are dying every single minute. The most dangerous thing you will ever do in that moment is decide to wait until morning. Hold one number in your mind for the rest of your life. 1.9 million. That is how many brain cells die every single minute after a stroke begins. Those cells do not grow back. The abilities they controlled, movement, speech, memory, can disappear with them permanently. The medical window for effective intervention is 4.5 hours from symptom onset. That sounds generous until you factor in the time spent convincing yourself it is nothing, calling a family member, driving instead of calling an ambulance. That window closes faster than anyone expects, and once it closes, the conversation shifts from recovery to permanent damage. Same stroke, same severity, two different patients. One called immediately and walked out of the hospital. One waited 4 hours and lost permanent function on his left side forever. The only variable was time. And if this video has given you something valuable today, share it with one person you love right now. And if this content matters to you, hit the like button so this reaches more families who need it today. For years, the medical community taught one acronym for stroke recognition, FAST. Face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty, time to call, jolbai isuri. It was simple and it saved lives. But studies began showing that a significant percentage of strokes were being missed because symptoms didn't fit those four letters neatly enough. So the medical community upgraded. The new standard emergency physicians now widely recommend is BEDEF-AST. And before you go to sleep tonight, every person in your household needs to know it. B is for balance, sudden unexplained loss of coordination with no obvious cause. E is for eyes, sudden vision changes, darkness in one eye, or double vision that arrives without warning. F is for face. Ask the person to smile and watch for unevenness, where one side rises and the other doesn't. A is for arms. Ask them to raise both arms and hold them out. If one drifts downward involuntarily, that is a serious sign. S is for speech. Ask them to repeat a simple sentence and listen for slurring, wrong words, or complete confusion. T is for time. If even one of these signs is present, call jolbai isuri immediately and tell the dispatcher when the symptoms began, because that clock determines what treatment is still available. Do not drive yourself. Do not give food or water. Do not give aspirin unless 911 instructs it. Unlock your front door and stay with the person until help arrives. That is the complete protocol. Learn it tonight. Knowing the warning signs is the emergency plan. But what I really want for you is to never need that emergency plan in the first place. Because stroke is significantly influenced by the choices you make every single day, and these habits are not complicated or expensive, they are small daily decisions that compound quietly into a brain that is dramatically harder to break. And start with blood pressure because nothing else matters more. A reading consistently above 130/80 is silently damaging your arterial walls every single day with zero pain and zero warning. Check your numbers regularly. Know what they mean and address them seriously, because controlled blood pressure prevents more strokes than any other single intervention medicine has ever found. The morning mistake most seniors make is waking up and going straight to coffee while completely dehydrated, which thickens blood and quietly raises clotting risk. One large glass of water first thing every morning is simple, free, and genuinely protective. The hidden sodium packed invisibly into canned soups, deli, meats, and packaged snacks drives blood pressure upward over years without you ever feeling it happening. Read labels. That 30-second habit compounds into real protection over time. Less than 6 hours of sleep per night significantly elevates stroke risk after 60. Untreated sleep apnea causes blood pressure to spike repeatedly through the night while you remain completely unaware. Raise. This with your doctor if you snore heavily or wake up exhausted despite a full night in bed. Chronic stress keeps cortisol and blood pressure elevated in a slow, relentless assault on your vascular system. 10 intentional minutes of genuine stillness daily, a walk, deep breathing, whatever settles your nervous system is real medicine, not soft advice. And finally, ask your doctor whether taking blood pressure medication at night rather than morning might be more protective for you, because strokes peak during early morning hours when pressure naturally surges. That one conversation could matter more than anything else on this list. Salian, nobody puts this part in the medical pamphlets. A stroke does not just change one life, it reorganizes every life around it. The spouse who becomes a full-time caregiver overnight. The adult children who rearrange careers and mortgages to cover care costs. The family dinners that go quiet. The person sitting in the chair who remembers exactly who they were before and grieves that person every single day. This is the reality that never makes it into the awareness campaigns. But here is what I also know after 30 years in medicine. The families who caught it early, who knew the signs, who called 911 without hesitation, those families have a completely different story. Recovery is real. Full recovery is possible. Early action is not just medicine. It is the greatest gift you will ever give the people who love you. Okay. I have held the hands of people who wish they had watched a video like this sooner. I have also stood in hospital hallways, cheering for patients who came in early because someone they loved knew the signs. Both of those moments changed me forever. You watched this entire video to the end, and that tells me everything about how much you value your life and the lives of the people around you. So now I am asking you one thing. Do not let this information die in this tab. Tonight, not tomorrow, tonight, tell someone you love what you just learned. Share this video. It costs you nothing, and it could cost someone everything if you don't. Subscribe, ring that bell, and drop your story in the comments below. I will be there reading every single word